Thank you very much. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I've been saying thank you for the last 24 hours to a whole lot of people, and thank you very much. Boy, I want to introduce my family, and now I have a larger family. I have Byron and Tony and Ben, and so I want to introduce my wife Donna, my daughter Lindsay, son Greg, son Adam, son Sabrina, my niece Audra, my son Jordan. We don't have, Tessa is in North Carolina. She'll be up here as soon as her husband finishes his residency program and add one more medical provider in Alaska. So I wouldn't be here but for these people. I wouldn't be here but for this individual, but I have to start with Craig Fleener and Hollis French. If it was not for those individuals and Byron and his family, this would not happen, because it required 4 people that said, we're going to put Alaska ahead of politics. We're going to put Alaska's future ahead of politics, ahead of political party. Anybody could have said no thanks, and I would have thought nothing less of any of them. And I'm just so honored by what so many people did. You know, something did happen on the campaign trail. I did have some thoughts in Gamble, and turns out somewhere we are. I really thought, where's the ear? The thought of us on the back of a 4-wheeler together, it was a pretty neat deal. And it was both on the way from the airport into the community center, on the way back. It was just like, okay, you know. And I want to thank the families also. I mean, it's not just the candidates; it's the families. It's my family. I wouldn't be standing in front of you without my family. This room has some big significance to me. 4 years ago, I stood right over there and announced running for governor, and Governor Wally Hickel introduced me and stood at my side and participated in our campaign. The only thing he and I disagreed on, he said, "You run as independent. Never get through that tangled, closed Republican primary. You run as independent." And that's the only thing we disagreed on. He was right, I was wrong. Whenever I see Ermeline Hickel now, she goes, "Well, I told you to run as independent." Said, "Yes, Ermeline, you're right." He did, and he was right. He ran as independent, his independent party. He was a mentor, a friend. It was interesting to learn that Governor Jay Hammond, his first political office held in Alaska, he ran as independent as well. He said, "I don't want to go to the legislature. You get the signatures, I'll run." So we got the signatures. He ran, and that's how he started his political process. You know, I was honored. This is the second party endorsement I've received. In May of this year, the two largest parties in Alaska now have endorsed this ticket. The Alaska Independence Party, in May of this year at their convention, endorsed us and did not run a candidate. And I think it's the first time they've not run a candidate. They have about 15,000 in their party. What the Democratic Party has done is unprecedented in Alaska, to my knowledge. I've been here all my life. I've tried to follow politics. I think it's unprecedented. It's for a reason. You know, and there's no question. I'm a conservative. I've been a conservative. I'll continue to be a conservative. I've not changed anything for this to work. I've had to ask some people to do some things that they would rather not. So like to step away from a race that they have, a hard-fought race that they have won, for this to happen. But it's not about me, as Byron says. It's not about us. It's about Alaska, and that's really what it comes down to. You know, I'm not. We talk about bipartisanship, having a bipartisan administration. We'll have a no-partisan administration. You know, we are going to field the best and brightest Alaskans across the state. Our administration is going to look like Alaska in every way possible, because partisan politics will not have a place in our administration. as a partnership. You know, I've said sort of in jest before that the lieutenant governor, typically the role is to be down the hall, 300 yards, hoping that the governor has a bad health day. We're not going to have that. He'll be in the governor's office. He'll be in office in the governor's office for the lieutenant governor. I'm not much of a down the hall kind of person. He'll be there, and he will participate in my administration, in decision-making processes. We will work as a team. We'll work as a team during the next 60 days. We'll work as a team in our administration. We're going to charge some new waters in Alaska in our relationship and the way we're going to work together. But we're going to do that throughout our administration, because we're just not going to follow the same old party lines of how things are done. It's just not going to be there. We are in a crisis in Alaska. That's what brings us both to do this. You're not looking at a couple of career politicians that are saying, okay, now let's get into and run for this office and run for that office and run for Congress. That's not what we're doing. We're doing this because Alaska's broken. We need to fix Alaska. We need to fix Alaska with Alaskans. We're not going to fix Alaska with one party or another party. I mean, there's no business model, there's no professional sports model that would leave half or two-thirds of the team on the bench. There are some great Alaskans all across Alaska, and we will reach out to them, and they will participate in this effort, in this journey that we're on to fix Alaska. We're in the largest deficit we've ever been in the history of our state. That's unacceptable. And the forecast is 10 more years of deficit spending. That's unacceptable. It's not going to be fixed by arguing who's the better party, one party or the other. It's going to be fixed with solutions, a solution by Alaskans. And we have done this before. When we had an earthquake in what became a state in '59, I remember well. We came together as Alaskans and fought for statehood. When we had an earthquake in 1964, we came together as Alaskans to fix Alaska. When we had floods across the state, the '67 flood in Fairbanks, it was Alaskans that came in and rebuilt Fairbanks. It was Alaskans who rebuilt Alaska from the quake, not partisan in politics. And that's where we are today. We are right back at a crisis situation. You may not see the water rising in the Chena River. You may not feel the earth shaking. Actually, you might feel it today in some locations. But it's every bit as real. It's every bit as real. When I look at that forecast that this administration put out, in 5 years we run out of money. We run out of savings. Then what happens to our education funding at that point? What happens to our public services? What happens to our cost of energy? What happens to our state? I think it came together. I mean, in Nome, I spoke to the Alaska Municipal League. It was very emotional for me, because I looked at the Alaska Municipal League, all these different municipal representatives. I come from local government, and I think local government is really the purest form of government there is, because people can get closest as they can to the local government officials. It was very emotional for me, because I know what they're facing. I'm doing this because I don't like knowing what I know and not do something about it. I mean, it's no different than if I'm driving by a car in the ditch at Paxton at 50 below, and they're in the ditch. I'm not going to drive by. I'm going to stop and help them out. And anybody else in Alaska would do that. That's what we need to be doing. We need to recognize the problems we have. Stop the partisan battles in Juneau. Two teams playing defense. Somebody recently described it in a debate. A longtime politician in Juneau said, "Here's the way it works in Juneau. The majority spends all the time making sure that the minority doesn't do anything, and the minority spends all the time trying to slow down the majority." So who's working for Alaska? How does Alaska benefit in that? We're not going to do that. That's not what we're going to do. We're going to step aside from that and do what's best for the state. Yes, what we've done is unprecedented in the state. What Byron has done, what the Alaska Independence Party has done, what the Alaska Democratic Party has done. But what they've done is they put people before politics, people before partisanship. They put Alaska before partisanship. And that's how we're going to fix this state. We're going to fix it with Alaskans. We're going to working together. And we're going to stop the fighting. We're going to stop the divisiveness. And we're going to fix Alaska on Alaska's terms now. And we'll do it as a team. And I'm so honored to do that with my friend, Byron Mallott. Thank you very much.